The art of magic has fascinated people for centuries, and the great masters of the past have jealously guarded their secrets. My name is David Williamson, and I'm a professional magician who has traveled the world performing magic for over 40 years. But I also love teaching magic and sharing my passion for the art with the next generation. It's fun to be fooled, but it's more fun to do the fooling. Have fun learning these tricks and bring more magic into the world. Hey, it's Magic Dave. We are going to learn some card tricks today. All you need is a deck of cards. I recommend bicycle cards because everybody knows the brand. You can buy them just about anywhere. And they have white borders. I recommend whichever deck of cards you use, get something with white borders. That allows you to do some extra special card tricks. First of all, let me show you a couple different shuffles. One way is to throw them on the floor and have your little brother pick them up. That gets them kind of bent and gooey. The other way is a simple shuffle called the Overhand Shuffle. It's a very standard shuffle. It looks like this. See that? I'm just pulling cards off into my left hand. My right hand holds the deck by the edge. My left hand comes from underneath and pulls cards off with my thumb singly or in groups, in clumps. And my right hand just kind of moves up and down and drops cards even as the left hand pulls them off, just like that. That's called the Overhand Shuffle. Here's another one called the Riffle Shuffle. This is one you see a lot of people do. The Riffle Shuffle. This is in the hands or using the table, on the table. The secret to this shuffle is being as smooth as possible. This one takes a little practice. Riffle half the deck into the waiting left fingers. Tip them up, and then both thumbs gently release cards at the same time. And then you can square them together like this if you like. Or if you want to do the fancy part, the bridge, you got to grip them from above and below with the thumbs and the fingers, bend them, and then relax those fingers so that they square up and make that cool sound. So that's the Riffle Shuffle. There's one more shuffle that's a little more fancy. It's the Tabled Riffle Shuffle. And this is what a lot of people who play a lot of cards use. It's a little more refined, and it takes a little more practice. You put half the deck on the table beside the other half, and with your thumbs you lift up and riffle in the back corners and then gently push them together, just like that. There. You will notice that during all these shuffles, I was able to keep the Ace of Spades on top of the deck. That is very important to a lot of card tricks, being able to control certain cards or to keep a card under your control. Here's how I did it. During the Overhand Shuffle, I'll turn the Ace of Spades face up. I pull one card to begin, the Ace of Spades. And then I shuffle the rest of the deck, so the Ace of Spades is at the bottom no matter how much I shuffle the rest of the deck. I'll give it another Overhand Shuffle, and look what happens. The last card I pull off the deck, I do it singly until I get to the Ace of Spades, and it's on top. So face down, it looks like this. It looks like I'm really mixing up those cards. There's no way I could know which card is which, but look at what I did. I left the Ace of Spades on top. The same goes for the Riffle Shuffle. I just dropped the Ace of Spades last. Whether it's the in the hands Riffle Shuffle or on the table Riffle Shuffle, I have kept control of that Ace of Spades. So that's a very valuable skill. Practice shuffling the deck while controlling the top card always. Okay? Let's do our first trick. All right, our first trick is a prediction. Now, I've made a prediction. I'll show it to you in just a second. I'm going to have my friend pick a card. In fact, instead of just picking a card, I want you to cut the deck anywhere you like. I don't have any friends, so I'll just do it for him. I'll just mark the cut. What would you say is the most popular card in the deck? Well, I told you I made a prediction. I guess I can show you that prediction right now. That's the wrong prediction. Where'd that come from? Oh, there's another one in here. This is my prediction. This is the one I made earlier. It says Ace of Spades. That is the most popular card in the deck. It's the first card on the face of the deck when you open a new box. And it's the card with the trademark. Let's look at the card you cut too. What? You're amazing. Let me shake your hand. Ow, quite a grip. Very good. Let me show you how this is done. This is called the Crisscross Force. Now, forcing a card is basic to card magic. A lot of card tricks will require you to force a card or make somebody pick the card you want them to pick. Yeah, you can do that. There's lots of different ways. this is one of the best ways. Begin with your force card, the card you want to force on top of the deck. In this case, it's the Ace of Spades, is the one I wrote down. And if you remember earlier, I showed you how to shuffle the deck using the Overhand Shuffle or the Riffle Shuffle and keeping that Ace of Spades on top during all the shuffling. So you say, here's a shuffled deck, cut the deck anywhere. And they cut the deck. Now here's the sneaky part. You pick up the bottom half and you lay it crisscross on the top half. You say, let's mark the cut. Remember that word, mark the cut, those 3 words, mark the cut. So you just say, let's mark the cut. That sounds like something somebody would say at a card table. It's not really said very often, but for our purposes, it sounds convincing. Mark the cut. What you've done is created a confusing image. If you take their attention away from the deck now, for example, to show them your prediction, or maybe to show them the card box to convince them that the Ace of Spades is the most popular card in the deck, when you bring their attention back to the top of the deck, back to the deck, and you say, let's look at the card you cut to, they don't remember which is which. They don't remember. They will take your word for it. So you're fibbing a little bit. You say, let's look at the card you cut to. And be as dramatic as possible when you turn this over. Wow, you're amazing. It's a very popular trick with 4 kings. It's actually called the 4 robber trick. It's done with 1, 2, 3, 4 cards. And the kings, look at this, go into different parts of a house. Let's pretend the deck of cards is a house, and the 4 robbers are going to go into the house and start stealing stuff. The basement, the first floor, the second floor, and even into the attic, rooting around in the old trunks looking at Grandma's old wigs. I don't know what they're doing up there. Anyway, the police are coming. The robber in the attic snaps his fingers, and his friends jump up to the roof where they attempt to make their escape, except the helicopter comes, and it's actually the police helicopter, and they're hauled off to jail. And that's the end of that story. All you need are 4 kings, and you need 3 other cards to hide behind the kings. Hide 3 cards, any cards, behind the kings. So when you begin, you actually have 7 cards in your hand. We keep them squared up as best you can, so that when you spread over 1, 2, 3, the last king is actually 4 cards held together. So just be very careful. What I like to do is spread 1, 2 here, and I just spread 1 here. So it looks like just 4 kings. And an easy way to get into this position is to begin with all 4 kings at the face of the deck. So when I spread the cards, I actually spread 7 cards and separate that with my fingers so that when I square them up again, I'll take all 7 cards and turn the deck over like that. Square them up and show 2 in this hand, 2 in this hand, and say, here's a trick with the 4 robbers. Now remember, you have those 3 cards secretly on top. That's how the trick works. So when you put the robbers on top of the deck, you can say the first robber goes into the basement to look down in the laundry room. The second robber goes to the first floor. The third robber goes into the second floor. And those are not the robbers at all. Of course, those are the 3 extra cards you had. Now the 4th one is a king. But what I like to do is riffle up and put him like the 2nd or 3rd or even 4th from the top, because the other 3 cards are kings. So you can put this one near the top in what amongst those other 3 kings, and it looks like those 4 kings are buried in 4 different parts of the house. Square them up, snap your fingers, and as dramatically as possible show that the robbers all jump to the roof, and the police come in with the paddy wagon and haul them away, of course, because crime doesn't pay. There are a lot of great mind-reading card tricks that you can do with a deck of cards, and here's one of the best. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret about aces. 3 of them point in the same direction. This ace points towards you. Look, see how the heart has a pointy end? I'm going to point that like an arrow that way. Ace of spades has a pointy end. I'm going to point it that way. And the ace of clubs, well, let's call that the top of the club, so that will be like an arrow pointing that way. Now the ace of diamonds points both ways. It's symmetrical, so there's really, this one doesn't count. But these 3 aces all have pointer ends. They're called pointer cards, and they will all point in a certain direction. So line them up so they're all 3 pointing the same direction, and then add your ace of diamonds, and you're ready to do a great mind-reading trick. Here's what you do. Hand the aces to a friend and have them shuffle the cards. Now most people will shuffle like this, and they won't turn them end for end and mix them up that way. Most people just shuffle them this way or like this. They'll mix them up. So your pointer cards are still all 3 pointing the same direction. Okay? Now, instruct your audience member to spread the cards in front of their face and think of any ace. Ask them to pull the ace up a little bit and remember it. In this case, I use the ace of spades. Now ask them to put that ace face down on the table. And what I like to do is mime the actions. I say shuffle the cards, spread them out, pull one up and look at it, take that card and put it on the table. So you're instructing them how to handle the cards. What that does, it turns the ace of spades end for end. Look at that, it turns it endwise. So that now the ace of spades is pointing that way, away from me. And then I mime the action of shuffle the deck. I say, now mix the aces. And what they'll do is take these aces and they'll turn them sideways. Remember the ace of spades was turned to end for end? They'll turn these sideways, they'll shuffle them up, and I say, place these on top of the ace on the table. Now pick up all the aces and shuffle them up. And look what they've done. Ace of diamonds. Look what they've done. They've turned around whichever ace they thought of. Now, if it's the ace of spades, it'll be obvious. Or the ace of hearts, you'll see it's the only one pointed the wrong direction. You have them lay the cards on the table, and you can hold their wrist, maybe feel their pulse as their hand goes over the aces. And just notice which ace is pointed the wrong direction. Ace of clubs is pointing that way, ace of spades is pointing this way, ace of hearts is pointing that way, and the ace of diamonds, it doesn't really matter. So you'll know which one. But don't immediately say it's the ace of spades. Go back and forth, holding their wrist, feeling their pulse, and say, I feel a slight tremor in your pulse. Is it this one? It must be the ace of spades. And you can do this over and over again. Just be sure that you turn the ace of spades back around before you begin. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if they pick the ace of diamonds? Well, you'll know it's the ace of diamonds because it's the only one not pointing the same direction. What I mean by that, of course, is if the other three aces are all pointed the same direction, it must be the ace of diamonds. Anyway, that's a quick little mind-reading trick using the pointer aces. That's a good secret.